Black, African American, Afro-descendants assert their human right to vote for civil life. The first black person to vote in an election after passage of the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was cast on March 31, 1870. On December 16, 2012, some 142 years later, the first election which enabled Afro-descendants to vote for the first black president of the Afrodescendant nation took place in Lost Foundation of Islam mosques across the U.S. Registered members of the Lost Foundation of Islam were provided ballots and did cast their votes for the first duly elected president of the Afrodescendant nation. Voters voted for the man or woman who would lead the newly forming ecclesiastical principality, which represents the previously unaddressed needs of 250 million Afro-descendants living throughout the U.S., Caribbean, and Latin America for human rights, as well as full freedom, justice, equality, and independence. Prior to the Afro-descendant nation's elections, U.S. officials have used devious and cunning methods to circumvent the voting protections of so-called African Americans in political elections. The methods have included poll taxes, suppressive election procedures, gerrymandering, and more. The U.S. and other slave trading countries, to date, failed to justly address the historical legacy of plantation slavery, or racism, and the question of reparations for slavery. To add, the world watched as the U.S. walked out of the World Conference Against Racism. The U.S. disagreed with wording related to the State of Israel and demanded removal of language which identified transatlantic slavery a crime against humanity. In realization of these facts, Lost Foundation of Islam members, or Afro-descendants, assert their human right to civil life. The political mechanisms for these events include the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Other events which occurred prior to the presidential election include the unveiling of a constitution and the coronation of Queen Mashaki Muhammad. Afro-descendant voting privileges will open to all slave descendants in the Afro-descendant nation's 2016 elections. All Afro-descendants now have the right to determine their collective destiny inside the government of the Afro-descendant nation. Further, Afro-descendants may express to the global community that Afro-descendants are wholly human and born with inalienable rights to freedom, justice, equality, and independence through the Afro-descendant nation. Many African Americans first were made in the U.S., which included the right to vote in the U.S. political system. And because of the injustices that continue to linger unaddressed, Afro-descendants are now able to assert their human right to civil life. Afro-descendants, get involved.